What's up, man? Love the game. Back at it again. Game seven is over. As you know, I'm Ray.
Marco.
And we're gonna be talking about a lot of different things. Obviously, game seven, the NBA Finals MVP, future of both OKC and Indy, and then, obviously the injuries that have been going on this playoffs, and also the Kevin Durant trade. And yeah, I think that's pretty much everything we're going to be covering today. It's probably going to be I guess we can start off by saying congratulations to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Um, they did everything that they were asked to do, regardless of what happened in Game Seven. I was just very proud to see a lot of those young guys, specifically Sixers legend Isaiah Joe. Salute to the guy. Um, yeah, I was just really proud to see them win. And also, I was kind of happy to see Caruso get his ring, but this time like in the actual arena. It was
Yeah,
cool to
that
see.
one was funny. His interview after the game.
But yeah, Cole, like what do you think about game seven to last night?
Um, I've been rooting for the Thunder the whole playoffs, so I was happy for them. But my heart was just like breaking for Tyrese Halliburton the whole time. Like
Yeah.
I couldn't even enjoy it for the Thunder, um, as much as I thought I'd be able to, just because of Halliburton's injury, especially because he comes out, hits like three threes in 7 minutes or whatever to start the game. It was looking like he was gonna have like a legacy defining game,
Yeah, bro.
and
Literally.
just never really had a chance to. And I don't think that should make any Thunder fans feel any less of the championship or anything like that. But as a neutral fan, it just made me feel sad. Um, oh, I do want to say we talked about it on the last pod. There was one more Thunder player who was a Sixers player who could potentially get a ring. Now he didn't end the season on the Thunder, but Alex Reese was a
Really?
Thunder's player earlier this year, and I did not realize.
Wow.
So I
Okay.
just wanted to say that
I didn't
before I
know
get
that.
a shout out to another Sixers legend, Alex Reese, here potentially getting his ring as
Oh,
well
that's so
as
crazy.
Isaiah
I did
Joe.
not know that.
Um, I wanted to give a shout out to Chet Holmgren. Offensively this series, it hasn't been the best one for him, and I feel like we've given flowers to everybody else, and
Yeah,
we've given him
yeah.
his credit on the defensive end. I thought he was a very efficient offensive player last night, even though he only took 8 shots and he missed 3 of his 8 free throws. I still thought hitting a three was pretty big. I remember him
Yeah.
coming up with a big
Yeah.
offensive rebound down the stretch and getting fouled and making one of his 2 free throws there. He had 5 blocks. I think that's the most ever in a game seven I read. Um, and yeah, I just thought he played a really nice game last night. In my opinion, it was his best offensive game of the finals. And I feel like we've given everybody else credit throughout the series. And I just wanted to give him his due this time because I thought it was a real team effort. Shea 12 assists, 1 turnover. That was amazing.
Bro.
Last game, not processing the floor well, was one of the biggest problems that the Thunder had. And he came out and had one of his best processing game and decision making games that I've seen in his whole career. And they won the turnover battle 21-7, partially because Halliburton was out, but
Yeah.
a lot of it was just because Shea took care of the ball so well and didn't turn the ball over and played like an elite playmaker, not just a shooting guard who's being asked to handle the primary initiating of his team. Um, so yeah, overall, it was a very fun game, especially in the Pacers sort of started to make it close again at the end of the fourth quarter. But the whole time I just couldn't stop thinking about Tyrese Halliburton, so it wasn't as fun for me as I would have liked it to be.
Yeah, nah, I get that, bro. When I watched the game, when I saw the Tyree, like at first I thought when he passed the ball, I thought he just tripped and just kind of made like a last minute decision to get rid of the ball. But once I heard in the broadcasting section when they said, "Oh, Halliburton's still down," I was like, "Dang, like he definitely tore his Achilles." Um, so, I mean, it felt exactly like when KD tore his Achilles, um, if not worse, honestly. Like that's definitely I was, me and my pop, we watched the games together. So I was telling him like, yeah, that might be the most unfortunately like iconic photo of that playoffs, like, which is crazy. You know what I mean? Like, so prayers up to Hallie, we've been very, very, very high on Tyrese Halliburton, and we're not even fans of him. So, hope he gets the recovery he needs. We're praying for you, bro. It was a crazy game from that point onward, especially because he hit three threes and they weren't easy threes, man. Like you could tell, like you said earlier, he was popping it, bro.
Oh, yeah, came out so aggressive. I do
Dude.
want to also say you saw the effect that it had on his team when he was out. So,
Yeah, yeah,
not
bro.
to discredit any of these players, but um, is Miles Turner only had 6 points. Pascal Siakam only had 16 on 49% shooting. And Obi Toppin, where are your stats? Obi
Oh yeah, he
Toppin
didn't
did not
even
score.
score. Yeah,
Yeah, Obi Toppin did not score in 21 minutes and was 0 for 4.
yeah,
Those are three really good players, and Tyrese Halliburton makes them look like absolutely amazing players. So I just like with them out there, Obi Toppin is a rim runner, plays in the dunker spot a lot, and spots up at the 3 point line a lot. Tyrese Halliburton does a really nice job of finding him for a lot of open looks. Same thing with Miles Turner.
yeah,
Runs a lot of pick and pop with him, short roll with him. Miles, really good trailer, and Halliburton's really good at finding him. And then Pascal Siakam's one of the best transition scorers in the entire league. And
yeah,
Ali's really good at getting him going in transition and finding him in his spots when he has nice position in the post.
yeah, bro.
And
You're
all three of
hitting.
those guys didn't play as well as you would like them to. And a lot of that is just because Tyrese Halliburton wasn't there. So I thought, even though like those guys, like, it's not really on them. It just shows how much Tyrese Halliburton means to his team. That without him there, those three guys didn't play up to the standard that we expect them to. And I
Yeah,
think
that makes
most of that
sense.
was because Hallie wasn't there.
Yeah, I remember when he first got injured, I was telling myself like they've won games in the past where he scored like 13, 14. So maybe that might be the difference maker, but I completely forgot about like his playmaking ability. And I think as TJ McConnell was the main guard for most of the game, and they would switch between TJ and Ben Mathurin, I was just like, yeah, man, like they need him. Seriously, like it was cool to see them fight, man. Like I can't lie. Like TJ McConnell at one point was looking like I don't even know how he had what like 12 points in
He's
the third
got
quarter.
he's got like the
That
most
would,
his mid range is the most unstoppable shot in the league. Yeah, he had 12 points, 6 for 7 from the field. He
bro.
did turn the ball over 3 times, but like they were running the offense through TJ McConnell in game
Yeah,
7
bro.
NBA Finals. Bro, as a Sixers fan, like when he first started playing, like like by the end of that season, he was pretty good. But at the beginning, he was a
Yeah, he's
tough
horrible,
watch,
bro.
man.
He's
He
horrible.
was a
I was
tough
like,
watch.
why in
With like
2017,
with
it
like
was
the
like,
buzz
why is
cut,
he starting, bro?
like you saw that little dude come in there with the buzz cut, and I was like, oh my god, why is this guy in the game? And then by the end of the year, it's like, all right, this guy is actually better than I thought that he like. This guy actually turned out to be pretty good.
Bro, the
And
mellow shot changed everything, bro.
if you told me a team would be running their offense through this guy of Game 7 of the NBA Finals when I had first seen him play basketball, I would have been like, bro, you are crazy, bro. So I
Bro,
don't know. Shout out to Timothy John, man. Shout out to Timothy John. Played a great game last
bro.
night.
And what's even crazier too was like the level of difficulty of the shots he would make, bro. Because it felt like he was like he had like that sixth sense of just like, okay, I'm gonna put it up before they can even react. And when he put it up, like it was too late to even try to block it. And I was really amazed with how he did that for like six consecutive possessions. And we've grown up watching him. So yeah, man, like seeing him fight really hard, like I was really proud to see TJ McConnell, you know, basically have a legacy defining game, honestly. And it was sad to see at that end, like they showed him go into the tunnel, you know. It was definitely a part of me, I guess, as a Sixers fan was like, dang, like I'm sad my guy lost, but at least Isaiah Joe won. So
Mhm.
it was like, you know, it was weird. It was a weird feeling, bro.
I
And
was
then
glad they didn't put Isaiah Joe in at the end of the game, bro, when they emptied the bench out. I was hoping.
yeah. And like it was crazy because I guess, from my perspective, it felt like the third quarter is when a lot of things when a lot of things shifted. There was a 9-0 run that OKC had that I think they went up. I don't know how much they went up by, but I knew once they got past like 10 in the third, I was like,
Yeah.
okay, this is not good. You know what I mean?
J-Dub hit the 1-3 on the Shea kick out where
Yeah,
like he
yeah,
barely
yeah,
got the
yeah,
Nets back
yeah,
in.
yeah,
That's when I kind of felt like the game was over. Yeah, like you said,
yeah,
it was only like a 10-point game at that point.
yeah,
Like
bro.
9-point game, maybe. It was something like that. But yeah.
Yeah, and like even, at one point, because you never want to doubt the Pacers out. Like Ben Mathurin, he was doing everything he could, bro.
Oh yeah, it's 10 free throws. Bro, when he gets to the free throw line, he does score efficiently. It's weird.
Yeah, bro. He kind of reminds me of like Jalen Brown, just with like less finesse. I don't know if that I don't know if that's a good comp, but like
He reminds me of another Jalen who got traded in the Kevin Durant trade, Jalen Green. I don't know, both they just like really skilled players where it's just like their IQ and shot selection kind of just holds them back.
I
So
guess
it's like when they're on, they're super fun. Like last night, like it, like field goal percentage wise, he wasn't on.
yeah,
Like getting to the line and knocking down some threes and stuff. I think he ended with like a 65% true shooting for 24 points, which is really good. Like he was on. And they'll have games like that, but they'll have games where they just lose you the game. Jameson was texting me. He was like, because Mathurin was fighting until the end. It was like 19 seconds left. He's like still in the inbound pass and like scoring, which like you like to see. Like you don't want to see a guys give up.
yeah,
He was like, I wish we had Mathurin on the Sixers. I said I'm good because I kind of think that I want more high IQ players on the Sixers. And like, well, I do think there is a spot for Ben Mathurin in the league for like a team that needs a spark plug off the bench. I don't know if he's a guy that should be playing every game. And I think Rick Carlisle saw that. But he had a couple games, even in the series where he just
yeah.
could
He
like
was
take over a
definitely a
game and
game
win you a
changer.
game. But
Yeah.
yeah, you saw the other side of the coin. What was it? Game five, I think it was. Game four or
Uh,
five, where he kind of like not lost it for him down the stretch, but kind of killed their chances down the
oh
stretch.
yeah, when he
I
missed the
forget
free
which game it
throws.
was, but it was one of those two.
It was one of the games where he missed the free throws, right?
Yeah, he missed three free throws down the stretch. He had like a bad turnover. Yeah, I mean it's tough. It's tough. I feel like your approach to the game is something that doesn't really change that much.
Mm.
So it's just hard for me to ever see him like becoming a different type of player. But I think he's really fun to watch. My bad. I'm going on a rant about Ben
You're
Mathurin.
good, bro. You're good.
Like
You're good.
play.
Yeah, like again, props to OKC. I loved like even though Ben Mathurin was going crazy, bro. I remember I saw that one J-Dub layup before it kind of got revealed that he might have walked. I think that was low-key a game changer too, honestly. Because of how crazy that layup was. Uh but yeah, man, like Shea, we can go into Shea, finals MVP, his first finals MVP. Honestly, it looked like that was the best game I ever seen him play. Cause it like just the way he was moving, just the you could tell like bro he was on a mission, man. I feel like I've seen Shay like operate, but I don't think I think he was operating just with way more like slickness or something like that. Like it was just really sharp, calculated, smooth movements that I feel like I've never seen him kind of like create before. And I don't know if it was because it was a game 7, am I overreacting to it? But it just looked like Shay like when he had one turnover, I think the whole game, and it was in like the fourth quarter because he had
Yeah, it was late.
turnovers like for most of the game, and I remember just telling myself, "Wow, like he's handling the ball too much for him to have like zero turnovers, and that's really impressive to me." You know?
Yeah, I wouldn't say this was the best game I've ever seen him play. I do watch like other than the Sixers, I watched like 82 games of the Sixers the past couple years. The Thunder had been my second most watched team. I really like Shea and I really like a lot of players on their team and just the way they play as a whole.
Yeah,
But processing the game and like decision making wise and playmaking, I do think this was the best game I've seen him play. Because it felt like he just made the right decision every single time.
literally, bro.
And sometimes I think he gets a little shot happy and like why not when you're as good of a scorer as him. But his shot wasn't even like falling like you expected to on a game where he's really on, and he still was by far the best player on the court tonight. And a lot of that was just because he made the right decision. And the fourth quarter really did him in efficiency wise for his shooting because through 3 quarters he was super efficient, and then kind of just like the game was kind of over. And that's not really an excuse, but I'm not gonna hold it against a guy where they win the game by double-digit points and he still plays as great as he did. Like the missed shots down the stretch didn't affect the outcome. It just dropped his shooting percentage, which I don't really care about if you win the game by, like they did. But yeah, he was great this whole series. I'm happy he got Finals MVP. I definitely think he deserved it. I know there was some discussion whether it should be him or J Dub. It didn't feel like much of a discussion to me. It kind of felt like a non-discussion. For J Dub was great in his own right, but to me it was clear who the Finals MVP was if the Thunder would have won it. Um,
Yeah, I agree with you, bro. I agree
yeah,
with you.
Shout out to Jada too, though. He had a great series too. I had a lot of questions about whether or not I thought he could handle it being a second option because how we looked last year in the playoffs. And I did predict the Thunder to win, so for what it's worth, I did think he could do it. But I thought if they didn't do it, that would be the reason why.
Mm.
And he came out and he played great. I think he averaged 22 points per game in the finals, and he did it pretty efficiently. So I was very impressed by him too.
Yeah, bro. I mean, for the viewers at home, final stat line, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander in game seven, 29 points, 12 assists, 5 boards. And then J-Dub, 20 points, 4 assists, 4 boards. So, obviously it wasn't the best. Like I definitely kind of capped when I said it was the best game that I've seen him play. Because definitely like the field goal percentage is definitely a stinker. But, it's a game seven. He's doing everything that he needs to do in order to win. So I can't even blame him. Oh, excuse me. I can't even blame him for taking the shots that he would take. Definitely it's like very Kobe-esque to me. Um, yeah, bro.
Yeah, he was 1 for 8 in the fourth. That's yucky. It is what it is, though. He still played a great game. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's what it was because it felt super efficient and down the stretch. Like when the game was kind of over, we started missing some shots. Glorify emptying the clip, though. I would rather see my best player go out in a game seven shooting 27 shots than seeing him shoot a shot. So I don't care.
Yeah, I
And
agree,
they
bro.
won. So
So, okay, so now we've talked about the finals. I was having a conversation with my dad because I saw this on TikTok.
mhm.
Game seven last night was, obviously the most important game in the Thunder's history. But because, if they lost, it would have forced them to almost, I mean, obviously it wouldn't have happened the year after, but over time, the rosters would have been changed out. J-Dub, Chet with their emergence, you would have to choose one or the other to go with SGA. So I was telling my dad, like, you know, this is probably the most important game of the Thunder because it dictates their future. And I feel like the future of the OKC Thunder now, it looks like a potential dynasty. I don't see them going anywhere. I don't see any of the players going anywhere. Honestly, I think they all love to be together. But Marco, what are your thoughts? And then we can get into Indiana too.
Yeah, I mean, I think you gotta retain the three. I know I'm on OKC Twitter sometimes, and some of them are having discussions whether or not they should max Chet or J Dub. I think both of them pretty obviously deserve max contracts, and if you don't give it to them, they're gonna get it somewhere else.
Yeah.
With your picks, I think you just gotta hope that you keep hitting on draft picks and replenishing the depth because those three are a championship core and they're all deserving of max contracts. It's not like the Nuggets where they like max out Michael Porter Jr., who's a really good player, but not really deserving of a max. You know what I mean? Like he's a player
I
you'd like
know
to keep
what you mean.
around, but the price tag was just too high and it
Yeah.
inhibits your team building. I think those three guys fit together really well and pretty easy to build around. So yeah, um, I think you just got to continue to put shooting around them because I thought this team would be look way more unbeatable than they did in these playoffs.
Mm.
Getting taken to two game sevens, it's kind of not expected from me. I kind of thought they would dominate in a way that like the Celtics did last year. Um,
I see what you mean
and
by
I
that,
think I think
honestly.
a lot of it is just 3 point volume. When you're a team that is inconsistent shooting the ball as they do, you're prone to losing games to teams that you should be beating. Um, so yeah, I think just putting more shooting around them. But yeah, you definitely have a championship core. You saw that this year, and I think it's important to retain those three. And I think they learned their lesson from the KD Harden and Westbrook thing, and I think
Yeah,
that they
bro.
will retain these
Yeah.
three for as long as possible.
And I think the scary part is that because they're all young, like it I wouldn't say they're Warriors-esque because they've had a mix of veterans and younger players, but I think the Thunder team is scary because they're younger and they've done it all. You know what I mean? Like they've climbed the mountain and now they have a chance to go back at it again. And for the most part, most of their team is coming back. So it's definitely looking crazy for the West. Obviously, they're gonna be the front runners. Um, and I guess on the downside with Indiana, what do you think about their future? And I'll go right after you once you say what you got to say.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, their only like key free agent this year is Miles Turner. I would try to bring him back. I'm sure he would love to be back. He's been there
Yeah.
since he was drafted. in what was it, 2014? He was 20
Yeah,
no,
yeah, bro.
2015. He was the 2015 draft because 2014 was
Oh yeah,
Embiid
'cause he's been
drafted
here for 10 years.
2015
Yeah,
with
you're right.
all
Yeah,
over
you're right.
drafted.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so he's been there 10 years. I'm sure he'd love to be there still. They have their pick back for next year in the trade that at first it was kind of weird because they were trying to free up some salary. It looked like to get Miles Turner back, and they gave up a draft pick this year for their own pick next year. Even though the draft pick this year is most likely going to be better than their pick next year,
Yeah.
they're just trying to not sign the rookie this year to have money to sign Miles Turner. So if you have a bad year with Halliburton being hurt likely the whole year, like you have your draft pick and then you can just run it back when Halliburton gets back. But obviously, they don't want to take a year off. No team does, especially coming off of a championship appearance where you go to 7 games. So I don't
Yeah.
know. They have a really nice squad. I wouldn't be surprised if in a weak East they're still able to be a playing team or be a playoff team. I think their ceiling is significantly lower than their floor is significantly lower because of no Halliburton, but I'm sure that they'll still be an exciting team to watch next year and probably be around the playing would be my guess. So yeah, I think just retain Miles Turner and just get Halliburton healthy.
Yeah, I mean, similarly to you, bro. I feel like because of the Halliburton injury, he's obviously going to be out for the year, and it's I just don't see that roster competing at the same level that they've done previously. Mainly because Halliburton was the key factor in them getting past a lot of these teams. Um, it's definitely tough as I'm not a Pacers fan, but I can only imagine as a Pacers fan, it's gonna be a tough year upcoming because it's like you got the same guys, you can initially run it back, but you don't have the guy that you really need to run it back. Um, so yeah, it's gonna be interesting for me to see how they respond to not having Tyrese Halliburton. Obviously, I feel like someone's gonna have to be like the second fiddle to Pascal Siakam. So it's going to be interesting to see which player takes that or which player fills that role. And hopefully the Pacers can come back. I'm definitely a little scared for Tyrese Halliburton just because, it's an Achilles. Most players that are I'm just in general, most players don't recover well from Achilles tears, you know what I mean? And that's like scary. KD is probably the only one that we know that has recovered, but even still, like pre-Achilles KD versus post-Achilles KD, I feel like are two different kind of players. Um, I feel like KD's a little less mobile, but Indiana plays in that play style, like I wonder if Halliburton will be able to continue playing that play style, or will he have to change his game? And if he has to change his game, how does that affect Indiana? That those are kind of the thoughts that come to mind when I really think about it. Um, but yeah, like I feel like Indiana's future is bright, but at the same time, it's like you can definitely raise questions and concerns.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's with the injury, I think is way more up in the air than I would have said if you asked me the same question, like this time yesterday, before the game, because I would thought they'd been a competitive team for a long time. But now, yeah, you're losing your best player for at least one full season, and when he comes back, you really don't know what he's going to look like. So I definitely think it's more questionable now. But um, I think it would be a scary thing to tear it down because you know what you have now. So I think taking a season, like even if you know that you're probably not going to compete at the highest level, um, I think I'd rather have that than just make a bunch of moves and come back when Halliburton's healthy after next season and be like, oh no, we just totally destroyed any chance that we have. So I'm pretty sure their team is pretty locked in 2 years from now
Yeah.
too. They were showing it on the broadcast last night. So I'll just try to retain guys. Next year, hopefully you get um hopefully you make some noise. You draft somebody good, and then you can come back again when Halliburton's back and be a competitive team. So
Yeah, man. And I mean, like, even with the Achilles in general, there's been three players or three stars, I guess you could say, that have torn their Achilles specifically this postseason. Um, Dame, Hallie, and Tatum. So it's like there's a lot of questions I think that fans are asking, like, for example. one question I saw was should the league shorten the season, right? And then other questions that I've seen would be stuff like, do players need to stop wearing low top shoes? I don't know. Like I was just kind of wondering, like, if you've seen that chatter, and then also like, what do you think, just about this postseason injuries, you know, etc.
Yeah, I'm not sure I would think the shoes have anything to do with it. I did see one thing today where they were talking about the negative step on a drive, where it's like let's say you're spotted up at a 3-point line and you catch the ball, you like step back with your right foot to start driving or whatever. That puts a big
Oh
stress on your
yeah,
Achilles
yeah,
back
yeah.
there. So they're
Mhm.
saying that that's a move that should probably stop being taught because it puts a lot of like stress on your Achilles tendon. So that I thought that was interesting. I would have to read more into that because right now, like I don't know, like maybe they're overrating and maybe they have a good point there. But that's something I read today that I would probably
Interesting.
want to look into more. But yeah, I think ideally, like it won't happen, but I think shortening the season to 72 games instead of 82 would make a lot of sense. The pace is higher than it has been since like the 50s or the 60s or whatever, and even then they didn't have the same floor spacing that they do now. So I'm sure players are traveling now more than ever, like on the court in terms of how many steps they're taking,
Yeah.
and that puts a lot of wear and tear on your body. So, yeah, I mean, like all things equal, it would be nice to adjust it and to make the games lower to have less back to backs and have less 3 and 4s and stuff like that. Sadly, I just don't think the league will do that because that's giving up a lot of money. And to
Yeah.
be honest, I'm not sure the players would do that because they would be giving up money as well because the league bringing in less money, their contracts would likely be lower because they're playing less games.
Yeah.
So I just don't think anybody would agree to that. But yeah, like if the goal was to truly limit injuries, I think that would be not the solution. You'll always have injuries, but a solution that would definitely decrease them. Um, but yeah, I was wondering what you think.
Um, Actually, that's a great question because I wanted to know if I'm tripping when I say this or not, right? It's cool. Like, obviously, I would love to see them reduce the schedule because I do think you're right. A lot of the wear and tear, night in and night out is definitely going to lead to injuries, regardless of the player is a superstar, on the bench, someone who's a role player, etc. Right? I was thinking, in order to limit the pace, maybe, and this is honestly, credit to 2K because I've been playing past 2Ks. What if the league goes back to the 24-second shot clock instead of, you know, continuously going to the 14 or after the ball hits the rim? Because I remember Adam Silver shortened the shot clock
Mhm.
in order to make the games more watchable and increase the pace. I forget what the whole synopsis was because I read it like whenever what was it instituted? Like 2019?
Yeah, no, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So I don't know. What do you think? Am I tripping for suggesting that?
It what you're saying kind of makes sense, but the thing is, um, you wouldn't you'd be like very it wouldn't limit the back and forth that much. I feel like because it would just let you work a little bit longer in the half court getting your shot up. So maybe you would reduce the possessions a little bit if teams were to use those like extra 10 seconds.
Yeah.
I just don't think it would limit it that much to the point where it would make a difference. I think having like more days off would matter more than decreasing the workload in those specific days where you were working, if that makes sense.
Nah, I
Like,
get that.
like getting them an extra rest day instead of having as many back to backs. Because I remember what was it? It was like I could have swore in like 2016 they were saying they were trying to get rid of back to backs, and then
Yeah, they've been because I remember they extended the season like a couple weeks earlier in 2018 or the year that Kyrie went to the Celtics. I remember they
yeah,
moved the schedule up.
yeah. So they were saying that back then, and then they did a really good job of limiting the back to backs the one year, and then they kind of didn't do anything else after that.
Yeah.
I was like, oh well, because every year I was expecting to have less and less until eventually we have none. But I guess you got to continue lengthening the season to have that, which I wouldn't mind. Like right now, it's WNBA is on and baseball is on. I like baseball, but I know not a lot of people are baseball fans, and not a lot of people are WNBA fans. So I think everybody would be okay with them extending the season a little bit longer. I mean, the players it would be tough because it goes into their off season,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I think it would be. I think they'll be open to negotiation, especially after how many injuries have popped up. If you like came with medical reports, I think it'd be worth a conversation. Maybe it wouldn't happen, but um,
Yeah, maybe
I
like the
think it would
next
be something that's on
2 years.
the table. Maybe you could offer him like a longer All-Star break too, if you're extending the season,
Yeah,
just to get him a little bit more vacation time or like family time there.
yeah, nah, that
Um,
makes sense.
yeah, I don't know. I think there are ways that it could happen. I just don't see the season ever being shortened.
Yeah, nah, I feel you. I feel you, bro. Our last one for the day, KD trade, bro. So for those who don't know, which I'm surprised if you don't know, the Rockets received Kevin Durant, and the Suns in return got Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, the 2025 first round pick, which is the 10th pick in this year's draft, and 5 future second round picks. Um, I don't know. Cole, what you think about this trade? Excuse me, because I feel like the Rockets kind of fleeced. I'm not gonna lie.
I've always been under the impression that KD's trade value wasn't very high, considering his age, and he's kind of fallen off defensively. And while he's still a really efficient scorer offensively, he's not the player that he once used to be. And
Yeah,
we never really know when that fall off is coming. Like, I don't think it's ever going to be as drastic as Paul George's was, and I think Paul George's is partially due to him being injured so much this year.
yeah,
But you saw him like that. He went from an All NBA level player to a player that struggled to be on the floor. So I think teams probably have the same concern with Kevin Durant, and he's somebody that you have to re-sign too. So he's not on contract for 3 years. You're getting him on an expiring, and it's up to you to take the risk to give him more years too. And I'm sure that he's going to want that extension before he even touches the court this season.
yeah,
Um, so the team is taking a lot of risks. So I didn't think it was ever going to be really valuable assets traded for him. I thought the Suns getting back the 10th overall pick was actually really nice. I wasn't sure if they would get an asset that nice. I thought it would be a heavily protected future first, if any firsts were included. I think part of the reason they got the 10th overall pick was because Jalen Green is on his contract extension kicks in next year, and he's making over $30 million for 2 years. Then
yeah,
he's a player option for $36 million. And I'm not the biggest Jalen Green guy. He was a positive player this year. Um, and maybe he continues to get incrementally better. But I think the archetype of a player who's a scorer, who doesn't really score the ball efficiently and doesn't provide much value anywhere else, is not looked at as very valuable in the NBA currently. Because you see a team like the Thunder, they have a lot of players
yeah.
who are really good at a lot of things.
Yeah, they do.
That's
They're,
what makes
they're
them so
making
great.
a team. So
Yeah, they don't have players on their team who are just guys like, hey, I'm gonna go out there and score 20 on below league average efficiency or equal to low league average efficiency,
yeah,
and then not give you much defensively, not give you much rebounding, not give you much playmaking, and also like lower IQ players or like bad decision makers. Jalen Green, he'll have games where he gets really hot, like or a month in the season where he just gets really hot, where the shot variance is really in his favor, and a lot of that is just poor shot IQ. So I think the Suns taking on his contract was part of the reason they were able to get the 10th overall pick because um, that would have been a tough one for Houston to be stuck with for these next 3 years, especially with how good their young core is and how many players they'll have to pay. So like I never expected them to get a Sengun or an Amen Thompson back in this deal because I think those guys just straight up have more value than KD in a trade market right now
yeah,
because of how young and controllable they are. Um, and they're going to continue to get better, you would hope. Well, KD is going to slowly and progressively get worse. And hopefully, I really like KD, so I hope that we don't see the fall off and he has a great year this year and on a competitive Rockets team. Um, but yeah, I'm not that surprised that the Suns didn't get more. I'm kind of surprised that the Suns agreed to take on Jalen Green's contract, especially being on Bradley Bill's contract,
I
and that
agree.
they didn't ask for more. The one thing I was thinking about, Fred VanVleet has a club option for $44 million, but it's expiring. So yes, way too much money for Fred VanVleet, and it kind of hurts to have that contract on your team if you pick it up and you don't have the money to keep it. But I'm surprised the Suns didn't want that as a salary match and then to just be done with the contract after that. Because yeah, it's what $11 more million or $9 more million in Jalen Green's gonna make this year. But then Jalen Green's gonna be on the team for 2 more years.
Yeah,
So yeah, I'm kind of surprised they took on Jalen's contract, but he's an okay player. Dylan Brooks is a pretty good player, and then 10th overall pick is a good asset, and then 5 seconds, who knows what that's going to be. Um, Maybe NIL is going to catch up one day, and then there's going to be a couple of really really deep drafts where all these guys who should be going to the draft this year
Yeah.
eventually go into the draft, and you have a super deep draft. So maybe those become more valuable. But yeah, I just never thought the Suns were going to get that much. I thought it was a really nice trade for the Rockets, being able to keep everybody that they did. And I thought the Suns got a couple interesting assets here that I wasn't sure they would be able to. I was wondering what you thought of this, and also what you thought of Miami not accepting the offer of Jaime Jaquez, Nikola Jovic, Haywood Highsmith, and the 20th overall pick that was proposed to them.
When I look at the Suns trade officially, I mean, obviously they did what they had to do to get rid of KD. Um, you know, unfortunately, I wish Book and KD still played together because I feel like that could have been very special. But I understand if one player doesn't want to be there, you kind of have to do your best to rebuild the team in the best way you know how, or the best way possible, excuse me. Um, I feel like if I was the Suns, I would have at least tried to ask for like a Reed Shepherd or a Cam Whitmore. I feel like that's why I feel like the Rockets fleeced because they didn't have to give up neither of those two players. And I feel like because they got rid of Dylan Brooks and Jalen Green specifically, they still got better, you know? Um, because now you still have a defender in like Tari Eason or Jabari Smith. Um, you still have Şengün, who's a great conductor. You still have your point guard in Fred VanVleet, and now you have a guy who can score with Reed Shepherd. Because I don't like, I mean, it's not even. I don't even think. I know for a fact that people don't know that he exists. You know what I mean? People do not know that the Rockets just have this guy on the bench. Cam Whitmore had a crazy rookie year, and I feel like that really wasn't discussed this year at all. And I think that's because not a lot of people saw him as much. But the Rockets, they did exactly what they had to do to get better. And maybe they don't have success as a two seed, but I think regardless, this next year of the iteration of Rockets will be a lot better because you have basically the same team plus KD, with younger players around him. So it would definitely be really interesting to see how that goes. In terms of the Suns, I love the Booker and Brooks combination. I don't really know how I feel about Jalen Green, and I don't correct me if this is like an NBA like Centel, John, but like I keep seeing that the Suns are looking to trade Jalen Green. Is that
No, that was reported, and then shortly after that it was reported that they were not looking to reroute him and that they're looking to trade Bradley Bill instead.
interesting?
Good luck doing that.
Yeah, so
Bill
like
shouldn't have taken that contract.
that's that's where I feel like that's where I feel like it gets sticky because it's like, you like you said, you have Bradley Beal and Jalen Green both about to have another both are under maxes with Book. It's like the repeat of Book, KD, and Aiton. You know what I mean? So it's like I don't know, man. I feel like the Suns they had the formula and then they just lost it. I don't know why they're trying to overspend on guys when it's clear that you need to build a solid roster around your stars. You can't just have your stars pull your team together. So hopefully, like with that 10th pick, I see them selecting like a guy like Malawach or Derek Queen, because I feel like they need a center. I don't know if you feel differently, but
You know what I'm going to take? I think Colin Murray Boyles, he should be there at 10. I think that team needs
all
defense.
right.
Huh?
Is he a point guard?
No, he is a power forward,
Oh
but
wow.
I think he could play
Never
small
mind.
ball five.
I'm thinking about the Oklahoma dude. I'm tripping. I'm
Oh,
tripping.
fairs. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I saw some people saying they should take point guards. I don't know. I would rather just have a shooting guard run point guard for me. Because what, 92% of their salary cap is spent on shooting guards at this point, which is a ridiculous number.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think they need defensive infrastructure. That was their problem last year. They were the worst defense in the NBA. And Devin Booker is can kind of shoulder an offensive load on his own, but he's going to need a lot of help defensively. And
Yeah.
you hope that he has enough help offensively to sneak into the play, and I don't think the team will, but I probably go for I don't think Malawach would fall that far. He would be a really nice pickup if he did, or if they had the assets to somehow trade up. If somebody really covets Dylan Brooks or somebody like that, and they can move up a couple picks
Mm.
to pick Malawach, that would be cool. But I think Colin Murray Boyles would be nice for them. I think they need defense, and I think at the power forward, I think that he could be a game changer for them. And I think that he's not enough on the offensive end. I think he's a really nice connective piece and makes good decisions. And
Mm.
on that team, I think you have enough shooting to be able to hide his lack of shooting. So that's probably who I would go if he's on the board, which I expect him to be. I also really like Asenge. He's also a power forward, but he's like 6'10". He might not be ready right now, but I don't think the Suns are ready right now to win anything either. So
I get it, bro. It's the future of the Suns. Like it looks weary, bro. And you know, I say this as someone who's like, I would say like a Suns fan adjacent, I guess. You know, shout out my cousin, shout out Eli. You know, he's a Sixers and Suns fan. Um, so I want the Suns to do well, man. So it's like I don't know, it's crazy. Like it's just crazy that they put themselves in such a bad position where it's like, bro, like I don't see how they get better for a little while, honestly. Other than getting rid of Devin Booker, like that's the only way I see the Suns maintaining some type of structure or some type of understanding of what they're doing in the future. Because the whole league, the whole other 29 teams, they don't want Jalen Green and they don't want Bradley Beal. And like, do I really think they're gonna buy Bradley Beal out? No, I really don't because that's a lot of money.
it's so many years left on this contract too.
Yeah, that's a lot of money,
Yeah,
bro.
it's not gonna happen. It's not with that.
Yeah, it's not happening, bro. So the more I sleep on it, like, yeah, man, the Rockets fleeced them, bro. Because I just don't know what the Suns are thinking right now for the future, like to build around Devin Booker. If that's what they really want to commit to, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think like it's in your team's best interest to move him just because you're not competing with him on the team. I would just try to recoup some assets now. I know being bad does like almost nothing for them because they don't have their picks. But
Yeah.
yeah, I would try to get some young assets or try to get somebody else's draft picks or something like that. I understand why they wouldn't do that because at the same time it's a business and you want to sell tickets. You don't want to run like some trash team out there night after night that nobody's going to want to see, especially with Matt Ishbia. That was obviously one of his big parts of his goals was to sell tickets. Immediately they bring in Kevin Durant and then they bring in Bradley Beal, and it sounds like he had his hand in both of those deals.
Yeah.
Being a new owner, wanting to hunt stars to sell tickets, and a lot of people who don't really understand how basketball works on a deep level would just want all the stars possible, just thinking like, oh my God, if we have all the stars, we're going to win it all. And obviously, that's not how it worked. They had much more success when they had a deep team, around two stars in CP3 and Devin Booker than they did having three stars. So.
Yeah, man. You know, the Rockets extended Ime too. So I feel like that's really important as well because he's an established coach with a culture. Um, I'm really excited to see them against Oklahoma City because I feel like those games are going to be really interesting, you know. Um, yeah, bro. I don't know. What do you think, bro? You got the Rockets making some crazy moves this next year or
I like their team this year. I think they got what they needed. I think it's gonna come down to what we get from um Amen and Alperen Sengun in terms of progression, and just hopefully
Facts.
Katie is able to stay who Katie is. I thought Sengun was really nice defensively this year. I think he was damn near better defensively than he was offensively, which I don't think a lot of people would agree with, but I'll stand on that take. I would like to see him score more efficiently because he is still pretty inefficient with his
Yeah,
scoring.
get that. Yeah.
Um but yeah, I'm really high on his ability. I'm really high on Amen Thompson's ability. So I don't see this team winning a championship next year, but hopefully they're able to make a run to like the second round or maybe even the conference finals. I think that'll be a really fun team to watch. They're definitely a team that I'll have on my I don't know if I don't think you get like a league pass replay. Um I don't know how to access it if I do. But
Mm.
I'm sure they would be pretty high on mine next year if that's a real thing. Oh wait, I did want to ask you the one thing about the Heat though.
Oh
So
yeah, facts. You did. Yeah,
so
my fault. My fault. Yeah,
so the offer they didn't accept was Haywood Highsmith, Jaime
yeah.
Jaquez, and it was Jovic, I believe, and the 20th overall pick for KD. That would
You
seem
said the
like
Heat didn't accept it, or the Suns didn't.
the Heat did not accept it.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
You think that was too much?
I mean, in my opinion, yeah, because Haywood Highsmith is not bad. Like I feel like he's a very underrated defender, bro. At least in terms of what the Heat have in their Heat culture. I would say like getting rid of Jaime Jaquez, Haywood Highsmith, and Jovic. I mean, they're all young players. They all have high ceilings. I think Jaime Jaquez, he didn't have as well as a sophomore year as he did his rookie year. But I'm not gonna give a slump year, especially in 1 of 2 years. Um, I'm not gonna shy away from that, especially when I know that Jaime Jaquez had a really good rookie year. You know what I mean? So I understand from that standpoint they didn't want to give him up. Um, I guess like from I don't know. Maybe the Jaime Jaquez thing, the Jaime Jaquez take I kind of stand on, but like I understand why you were kind of hesitant with Haywood Highsmith and Jovic, honestly. But you know, I feel like Miami just needs to rebuild in general. I feel like them adding KD doesn't make them a better team per se. Well, let me think. You got Tyler Hero, KD, Bam. And you get rid of Wiggins too. Okay, wait. Okay. I forgot you said Wiggins as
No,
well.
he wasn't part of it. I tweaked
Oh,
my.
he wasn't a part of it.
No, it would just be I don't know. It would be three players, and I don't really think are that good.
Okay, wait. So you have
Jaime
Tyler
Jaquez is
Hero.
24 years old. I don't think he's going to be that good in the NBA. I think he just had an impressive rookie year because he was just an older rookie.
Mm. Oh, wait, you're
I
saying
don't,
Jaime is 24?
yeah, Jaime is 24.
Oh, that
Hayward's
makes sense.
28.
Yeah, I
I
get
think
okay. I
Jovic is
see what you're
okay,
saying.
but I
Yeah.
don't know. I would have did that.
Okay. So their starting lineup would be what? Tyler Hero, um, the rookie, KD, Wiggs, and Bam,
Um,
or would they start another player other than the
it
rookie?
would be it would be a weird point guard situation, I guess. I guess you would start Tyler Hero at point guard. I would. It's a big team, right?
Yeah, wait, let me look at the
Because you
roster.
would have Hero point guard, Wiggins shooting guard, KD small forward, which I'm not. Is he is he quick enough to guard small forward? I don't know. But then you have Khalil Ware and you have Bam Adebayo. Um, I think that's what it would have to be. Are we
Yeah.
completely missing somebody?
I'm looking right now. I mean, Davion Mitchell.
I'm not sure I'm starting him.
I thought they started him for a minute, but I guess not. I might be tripping.
No, I think you're right. I think they did start him, but I wouldn't be looking to start him going into next year.
I got you.
I
I
think
got
they
you.
started Rozier too, but
Oh, facts,
he was
facts,
pretty bad
facts,
this year. He
facts.
was really bad this year.
If I trade Haywood Highsmith, Jaime Jaquez, and Jovic, I get KD with this roster.
In the 20th overall pick.
The 20th overall. Ooh. Okay, now that I'm really looking at this roster, I do think Miami should have made that trade. I'm not gonna lie.
I think so too. I don't think it really does much for
Wiggins,
them in terms of like championship hopes, but I think that's good value.
yeah, you keep Wiggins too, and I feel like that's key because like he's a player, he's a really good two-way player. You know what I mean? And I feel like those players really work well with KD. You know, you still have Davion Mitchell. You still have oh yeah, I mean, did Kyle Anderson sign? He signed a multi-year deal with Golden State, right? Before they traded him.
Let me check
State
his contract.
because I'm assuming he's still on the roster next year.
He, yeah, he's got 2 more years left on this deal.
Yeah, that's a dangerous roster right there.
In
Interesting.
a weak East, I probably would have did that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Also, I
man.
part of it is because I really believe in Khalil Ware. they made him untouchable in trade talks. They said some people said that was crazy. I don't really agree with that. I kind of understand that one because I thought he was one of the best rookies this year. He got better throughout the year and ended the year um really well. I think rookies who are on good teams who have lower usage tend to get undervalued by NBA fans compared to rookies who are on bad teams
Yeah.
with really high usage. So I think that's a guy in the next couple of years that will be looking back and doing a redraft. He's a guy that probably goes within the top five. I wouldn't. Yeah, I think that he was better than some rookies like Sar and probably Reese. I thought that he had a better year than Castle this year too. I thought he was better than those three, and those three finished top three in rookie of the year voting. I think the only difference was those three were just giving the ball a lot more than him.
Mm,
I know Reese wasn't the focal point of the offense. Obviously, Trey Young was.
yeah.
Um, but he still had a very high usage once Jalen Johnson went out. And I don't know. I just thought the two-way impact of Khalil Ware was pretty underrated in the NBA media circles and stuff. And I think that he should be given the same level of perceived value that those three guys have.
Yeah,
Because
no,
if those three guys were like listed as untouchable, people would be like, "Oh, that's not crazy." But then for him, and the only difference in my opinion was just the usage. He was on a more competitive team than those three were, because
yeah,
this team was fighting in for a playoff spot, and they got it, and they got blown out in the first round. But he was on a playoff team playing behind Bam Adebayo, and slowly got his minutes raised as the year went on. Um,
yeah, bro. You're making sense, bro. I'm not gonna lie. I wasn't feeling the trade at first because I thought Wiggins was involved. But
yeah, I
yeah,
don't
no, I understand why you brought that trade up to me because that probably would change their roster a lot. I can't lie.
yeah. The real interesting piece to me though was just the way people talked about it when it came out like Khalil Ware shouldn't be traded. I'm like, well, like why should they? I don't think if they add KD, I don't think they're a championship team. So why do you give up your like rookie who is
Yeah.
who I think has star
But wait, so
potential?
you don't think they would be a championship team
If
with
they
K?
added KD, I just don't think so. Um,
How do you think that? Because I feel like if you got KD with Bam and Wiggs,
I don't
you
think Wiggins is that good. I think Tyler Hero impressed me last year, but
bro,
I don't think Wiggins is that
Wiggs,
good.
I understand what you mean by Wiggins, but like he can show y'all he can show them how to win a championship. You know what I mean? He's won it.
He
You
did.
didn't,
I don't
you
think
know,
he's the same player anymore that he was back then though.
I get
He's
that. I
kind of
get that.
falling off a little bit.
I get that. He did. He did.
I wouldn't mind him as a bench piece, but as a starter, I think it kind of gets tough. I don't think their roster's deep enough, and I don't know. But the East is weak though, so I would kind of just take the deal just because like I don't think you're giving up that much future value in the deal that they had, like the 20th overall pick. If the Suns hit on the 20th overall pick, just like clap your hands, like
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah.
amazing. You know what I mean? And then
Yeah,
the other
I
three
get
guys
that.
are like three guys that you kind of know what you're getting. They're like rotational pieces, but you don't love them.
I get that.
But I like them keeping Khalil Ware. I know that was probably polarizing among fans, but I think looking back at this, a lot of Heat fans are going to be very happy that they kept him. I was very impressed with him this year.
Yeah. No, it's gonna be really interesting to see how Ware develops over these next 2 years. I'm gonna be keeping an eye out for him for sure, bro. Because I remember seeing like certain thing like how you hear like tidbits about certain people. He was one of those people that I've heard about for a minute. And I was just like, okay, I'll tap in when the time is right. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like I'm not as familiar with Khalil Ware's game, but I'm definitely gonna be tapping in for the future for sure. But yeah, bro. You know, again, this is Love the Game, episode 7. It's crazy that we're at 7 episodes now. Proud of us for sure. Um, Thankful for everyone that's been showing us love, showing us support, texting. Again, means a lot to us. Um, so yeah, bro, Cole, you got anything else you want to say, bro?
No, just appreciate everybody for tuning in. Just like and subscribe.
Yeah, man. Like, subscribe, share, comment, bro. We want to engage with everybody. We want to talk basketball, man. Um, you know, it's a lot going on in this game that we definitely want to show love to. So yeah, bro. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. We appreciate y'all. Enjoy y'all day. Have a good one. Stay blessed. Appreciate y'all.